That's right. Recording in progress. Hi, this is Hatem, legend number one, alongside with Noam Dworman. Hi, Noam.
Hello, hello, hello.
Always happy, always in a good mood. Love to have him here. One of my favorite ever, comedian Jaye McBride. Hello,
Oh,
Jay.
thank you so much. Thanks. Good to be here.
And the legend himself is here, Rich Voss.
Thank you for having me and disrupting my day.
It's weird.
Well,
Rich and I have pretty much the same exact fan base. It's very bizarre.
I hate my fan base. I wish I had like Brian Regan's fan base. They're just nice people.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great.
you have nice people like
I mean,
you.
they'll be dead in 10 years, but
Yeah. So will I. So who cares?
Well, there you go. Perfect.
So, Rich, you were talking about comedy clubs not promoting anymore.
Well, a lot of clubs aren't. Look, some are great, some owners, but the world has turned into a quick fix on the road, and maybe some in New York. It's get them in, get what we can. If they're bringing in, and I'm not against anything because I've already done enough. If they're bringing in YouTube or TikTok stars or whatever, that's a quick fix because if there's people there that just came in to see comedy and see this, they're not coming back. So it's the internet numbers. It's not, I was not arguing. Two promoters, real quick, were having an argument. One promoter said, "I'm old school. I like good comedy." The other promoter said, "Well, it's about numbers. I got to keep my doors open." So I wrote to the guy that said, "It's about numbers." I said, if you went to a restaurant and ordered a dish of whatever, pasta, and you had the biggest dish on the planet, but it was the worst tasting pasta, would you go back? He never got back to me. So there's a fine line in between. You got to definitely keep your doors open, but talent to me overrides anything. Because that's in the long run, you're not going to go back to a place that just had shitty talent.
I feel like
Go
stand-ups
ahead,
are doing. I think stand-ups have the same mentality sometimes. They're some like starting out. They don't really necessarily want to get good. They just want to have that quick viral video that gets them a million followers. And it's the same way. Which
I think if you're gonna do a show, define that show right. If you're gonna say I'm gonna do comedy, then be respectful to comedy and book comedians. If you want to do like a one-on-one with a TikToker or YouTube or whatever, that's fine, but promote it that way because people go and they think that this is comedy, and not only that, the new generation will be like, "Oh, I love this comedy. I saw this TikTok." A lot of the little kids, they don't get the best comedians.
Listen, I went to Keith special taping the other night.
Oh, you're the one that went? Okay.
Let me tell you, Keith is not Mr. Instagram or TikTok or whatever. It was so good. He was so good. If he doesn't win an Emmy for this special, there's no justice in the world.
That's awesome.
It was perfect. And we're sitting in the back. And you know what? Because he's a seasoned comic who's been doing it for a long time, and he just has the experience. It was so good. I was laughing out loud, and so was Colin and all of us. It was perfect. So, and you know what? Somebody with 1 million followers cannot do that because they don't have that experience.
You know what? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
You're
just
right.
one thing I heard, it was legendary. That's the word that I heard. Go ahead.
You're right. You're right to talk about Hatem about this because you're really taking kind of the Arabic point of view on this. You guys sound like people criticizing Israel. Everything has to come back to Israel because Israel is fighting a war for its survival.
Yes.
They don't want to hear your nonsense about they shouldn't do this, they shouldn't do that, they should take chances, whatever. They got to keep the doors open. All right, you got to keep the doors open. If you can keep the doors open, and only if you can keep the doors open, can you then start worrying about these other matters. Now, of course, if you don't go too far with the other matters, if you kill too many if you commit too many war crimes or whatever it is, I don't want to be flippant about the situation in Israel. I didn't see where I was going with this, but then of course that will jeopardize your ability to keep your country because at some point you can take it too far. But all of which is to say that a business owner's first priority is to keep the doors open. And if you ever criticize them for that, just like criticizing Israel right now, they're not going to listen to you. because
No.
they know you're criticizing from your safe living room in the United States of America, and their children are out there trying to keep the doors open. All right.
Yeah.
You see it, Rich?
No, I know what you're saying. Listen, I'm 100% pro
And I'm going to
Israel.
I'm going to use
agree
Israel
with
as the
him,
analogy
Rich.
for every single subject we have today. Go ahead.
You can, because I post about Israel almost every day and pro-Israel. You don't follow me on Instagram, but you would see, and my posts are pretty radical. Okay,
Yeah.
they're pretty radical.
I don't follow anybody.
No, but the thing is like with what Noam say, it's but again, keep the door open. Say entertaining. But don't say comedy. That's the one thing for
Oh,
me.
shut up.
I know.
It's-
First of all,
let me translate it. Do it without killing civilians. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me.
You're saying comedy should not be an ethno state or something like that. I get it. Go ahead.
I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say if you use white phosphorus, just make a video out of it, make it a reel,
Yes.
and try and go viral.
I posted last night, whatever I posted, like, call it what you want, war crimes, genocide. I go, they're, the size of this country is trying to keep their existence. So whatever it takes by any means.
Thank you, Rich. You know what? Stop helping.
Hey, no, believe me.
Rich, I have.
Listen, I walk into your club and I think I'm in a mosque. So shut your mouth.
So, Rich, I have a question for you because my feelings are a little hurt. You're doing a tour, to support Israel. And you were looking for somebody to do the PR. I applied for the job and I didn't get it. Can you explain why?
First of all, I'm not running the tour. They're just asking me to do it. I was supposed to work in Israel in January, and I canceled it because I just, I can't go in January. But this tour is whatever. It's
Why can't you go?
Awareness. Why can't I go? I don't know, because I can't take that chance with 3 kids and grandkids right now. I'm not, and I'm not some keyboard activist.
Seinfeld was there.
Yeah, well, probably with fucking bodyguards around him. Like, there's a difference between Seinfeld going there and me working, whatever. I just
bodyguard. What if bodyguard's going to help him if there's
there's a bomb. But it's
and nobody bombs. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I know. I just right now. I talked to somebody.
I'll give you a business card. You'll be fine.
I talked to somebody that grew up in Israel, and they recommended right now would not be a good time to go.
Hatem apparently has the equivalent of Arabic PBA cards. You know those PBA cards the cops give you?
Don't make my joke and make it better.
The P stands for Palestinian, though.
Yeah, get out of tunnels for free.
Going to Israel right now would be like if I went to Qatar right now, or if I went to Palestine right now in general. It's just, let's wait a while.
Or the Midwest.
Yeah, true.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's a great point. That's
Florida or Texas. Yeah, absolutely.
But honestly, Rich, I haven't seen you that political, and that I can feel your pain. But I haven't seen from your post. I know Noam said he doesn't follow you. I do, and from your posts, I had never seen you that active, and that I disagree with you, but I haven't seen you that emotional.
You don't see me. I'm not tearing down Arab people. I'm just saying the truth. If you look at terrorist attacks throughout the world, whether it be, the embassies in Africa, London, Spain, wherever they are, they're not done by Israel. They're not done by Israel. And, stuff like that.
But what's going on? Also now done by Israel a little bit, right? The civilians and all that. But my point is this, without going to detail, I'm saying about you, I never saw you that emotional.
I've always been pro-Jewish. I mean, I have a tattoo, never again, for 15, 20 years.
Tattoo and Jewish doesn't go along.
What's that?
You can't have a tattoo if you're Jewish.
It's not true. That's a old tale. Funeral homes and cemeteries will take anybody. They're a business. It's about numbers.
They have to keep the doors open.
Right. They have to keep the doors open. Listen, I come at it because since I was a kid, I've heard nothing but anti-Semitic things in life. People aren't racist to black people in front of their face because they know they're black. But Jews, they'll say stuff, they'll think, oh, maybe he's Italian. It's easier to say something anti-Semitic.
That's interesting. I couldn't think of the bright side of being in special ed courses, but I guess that's one of the ways you got to hear a lot of anti-Semitic stuff. Nothing?
Nothing.
You don't get it?
Nothing. Are you going to keep coming at me? You don't want to come at me verbally because I'm going to win.
But I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, I think it was funny. I think the audience at home might have laughed at that, even though it didn't get a response from you three dopes.
I chuckled. I chuckled.
I was trying to think, why did they not know he was Jewish? Well, you must have, anyway, go ahead.
But that was funny when you just said, what was funny is you three dopes. That's funnier than when you said. And I agree on 2 out of 3.
So, Rich, you had a show in Israel and didn't go in January?
Well, I have in January. I'll rebook it. I'll just do it next time. That's all. I'm not a young kid. It's not, I want to go. I've never been there, but I don't think when I go, I want to go sightseeing. I want to go to Jerusalem. I want to go here or there. I don't want to be stuck in my hotel room listening to sirens and bombs going off. I don't think that would be a fun time for my first time there.
Right. Just stay in New York for that.
When Hamas takes over, you'll have nothing to worry about.
That's not going to happen.
Well, Hamas is not going to take over. It's
You
going to be a
know what-
Palestinian government.
Of course, I think what happened on October 7th, of course, there were war crimes. There were literal war crimes that there were, and the fact, and I think if someone took 300 some odd hostages from some people I knew, I'd want to go all out too. But all their, like right now, everyone who's been in Palestine right now, who's been attacked, like, how are they not going to grow up hating Israel? Like, they're not going to say like, this is all Hamas's fault. Like someone who is like a Palestinian kid in a hospital with burns on his arms, not going to be like, wow, this is all Hamas's fault, wasn't it? They're going to grow up to hate Israel, and this is just going to keep going.
Well, I have an answer for that, Jay.
Kind of tragic. All right,
I have an answer.
Tough shit. Is that what it is?
No, the answer is, I don't know if you're feeling like a camaraderie with the suicide bombers, but
no, not at all. I think
How's
Hamas
that-
is terrible, and they need to go away.
No, but Esty listens to this podcast, and it's another joke that fell flat. Like,
I know.
like she's not gonna be happy you said that. I'm kidding. So my point, my answer to that is that nobody knows the answer. Nobody knows whether you're right or not. There are definitely historical examples that don't bear that out. The Japanese don't hate us. The Germans don't hate us. It doesn't seem like we created a bunch of terrorists when we destroyed Al-Qaeda or when we destroyed ISIS, or God, it's horrible, but 150,000 people died in Iraq, and we don't seem to have created a bunch of terrorists in Iraq. But even at the risk of creating more terrorists, that's one side of the ledger. The other side of the ledger is this can't ever happen again. And by the way, it's not just this. The world is changing. There are how many? 40, 50, 100,000 precision rockets in the north. Iran is enriching uranium. If the next time could be a dirty bomb on the tip of one of these rockets, if Hamas stays in power, you think killing people creates terrorists? Do you know how many terrorists it creates? When you have an exhilarating victory, all through the Arab world, and if Hamas stays in power now, first of all, every Arab government in the world is going to be upset because they're as afraid of their citizens, if not more so, as Israel is. And this will spread like wildfire, because the only hope of a two-state solution, Hatem will tell you I'm right, the only hope of a two-state solution is that the Palestinians will think that's what they have to do. There is no other choice. But if Hamas were to win now, and winning only means still being in power when this is over, it will spread through the Palestinian world. Holy shit, we can win this. Don't give in now, because 20, 30 years from now, we might take it all. There will never be a two-state solution if Hamas should stay in power, especially with the youth of the world in favor of Hamas. So these are all the things that Israel has to concern itself with, including what you say is, are we creating more terrorists? But I think that creating more terrorists is maybe the least of their concern right now.
Right.
And it's not a sure thing.
I don't know that. I'm sorry. Let me just say really quickly. And by the way, let me just say, I don't know that Israel has a choice. Let me just say that. Like, I think going in, I think they have to go in. I think they have to try and free the hostages. I think they have to try and get rid of Hamas. But it's just.
This is what I said before we went on the air. They do not want a two-state solution because
when you say they, who are you referring to?
Hamas.
Okay, so Hamas.
No, not just Hamas. The Palestinians.
Yeah.
No,
because it gives Hamas.
They did in 2006. They claimed they wanted to, but
it gives Hamas their identity. Same with Arafat. He didn't want that because then what is he?
We're talking about the Palestinian people too. You know, these people.
No, well, the polls show the Palestinian people aren't in favor of it right now. But
what poll? By Hamas controlled?
No, every poll, and there are Palestinian. I read about there are Palestinian pollsters that are considered to be reliable. I mean, I'm no expert on this stuff. I'm only regurgitating things I've read. So if it's not true, it wouldn't shock me. But I believe that there are polls in the Palestinian people. But it doesn't matter what the Palestinian people want because their leadership decides. Not only that, if 5% is not, I've said this to you before, it's not like a democracy where 51% want something, that's what happens. If 5% of the Palestinian community wants to create its own militia with its own arms and its own rockets, like we see, that is enough to end any two-state solution. A Palestinian leader cannot create a two-state solution if he cannot control, if he doesn't have a monopoly on force within his own people. And there's no reason to think that's what's going to happen.
I'll tell you two things. One, your analogy that the Japanese and Iraqi and all this don't hate us after the bombing and stuff like that. It doesn't apply in this scenario because they don't have to live together. Like we don't live with Iraq in the same country. We don't live in the borders. You know, there's not Japanese are far. So we're talking about people that live within the same region, the same, almost some neighborhoods live the same thing. So the hate is going to be there if they grow up killed by.
What are you talking about? Germany was in the heart of Europe, right now. West Germany and East Germany. Germany was right up against the other European countries that beat it. They don't hate. Germany doesn't hate France. Germany doesn't hate.
You know the geography of over there. It's there's a lot of like they're gonna be together and everything. And when we say that, you know what Hamas did in the 7th. Okay, what about the rest? Yes, Israel have a choice. Of course, they have to defend themselves. Of course, they have to make sure that doesn't happen again. Of course, all that. But also, you know, they have to be, you know, there's too many civilians and kids dying. And for the fact that the second thing that you said, that the Palestinian government, well, the policy of Netanyahu and a lot of people is always to have two people in charge, Hamas on one side and West Bank on one side. Funded Hamas, make them get money, stuff like this. So I think I was very optimistic, and you know that I always tell you that.
They did not fund Hamas.
Well, the money goes to Hamas. That's pretty much.
What are you talking about? They can't even stop rockets from coming into Hamas. You think they can stop money coming in? Yes, it's true. They knew that Qatar was giving Hamas money, and they need money.
They approved it.
So, but why are you blaming Israel for everything?
I'm not blaming Israel.
Israel did not elect Hamas. Israel did not create a coup to have Hamas take over. Israel did not prevent Hamas from building a single.
I'm not sure why you took my words.
Israel did not convince Hamas to never build a single bomb shelter. Israel does not convince Hamas to use human shields. Israel did not convince Hamas to come over and commit war crimes. Israel did not.
We can go with the list on and on, but that's not what I'm saying.
And all we talk about is the fact that Israel doesn't quite react the way you would like them to, when all Hamas has to do is say, you know what, we want peace.
I'm not the only one that reacting to that.
I know.
I think any decent person would have reacted to the kids dying.
I'm an indecent person then.
I'm not talking about you. Rich.
Israel is only responsible for the media and the weather and the banking systems.
What's that?
Israel's only responsible for the media, the banking systems, and the weather.
Yeah. No, I think it's very complicated. I think it's very complicated because, of course, everybody, when you look at your own, you know, stuff, when you see the, you know, your people like hostages or killed or innocent people or civilians, that of course you're going to act in a certain way. But also, I think that the people in power, and I said that way before, and I told Noam weeks before that Israel have to get rid of Hamas. And yeah, of course, we're going, how do you do that and stuff like that? But I think the people in power.
Don't skip over that. That's the key point.
But here's
How
the
do you
thing.
do that?
No, but that's my point. Is like, but I think also in the other way, Netanyahu is not doing a favor for the Israeli people, the governments. I think the
It's
people.
a unity government. It is a one Israel. If you read about it from the far left to the far right, everybody is on board in Israel right now. It is not Netanyahu any longer.
I
It
get
is
it. I'm saying
100% of
I'm
everybody.
referring to Netanyahu in terms of like how we got there. You know what I'm saying?
He didn't get us there. Just a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, Israel had a different prime minister who gave a speech begging the Palestinians to come to the table for a two-state solution. And they didn't answer him.
Rich, what do you think of this?
Well, my take is, besides what's going on over there in this country, you have college presidents, you have people marching in the streets, against Israel. You don't have any college presidents or speaking out against Palestine or the Hamas. So their PR over here is amazing, because these kids and students, gay queers for Palestine, they'd be chucked off a roof in Palestine.
I gotta say one other thing, because this,
Yeah.
I don't mean you're lying, but it is a big lie, and it drives me fucking nuts. In 2001, there was the second Intifada. The second Intifada, as I've said before, was a slow rolling, zoomed out version of the same atrocity of October 7th. It was everything October 7th was, except it took place over 2 years. Suicide bombings of teen bars and children and all of it, incinerated babies, all of it. This happened at a time when the Israeli public was completely united and begging for a peace treaty with the Palestinians. It was almost unanimity in Israel. I wouldn't say unanimity, but extreme majorities in Israel, hoping that Arafat would agree to peace. And at the time when everybody knew that the soul of Israel had its fingers crossed, hoping for a peace treaty, that this is what Israel was answered with: murder and atrocity. So it's really rich, not Rich Voss. It's really rich and difficult to swallow, to pretend
Not Jay McBride.
that what's going on now is because of policies, when we know that it happened even when the policies were everything that you would want and much more. And it didn't make, and it wasn't Hamas, it was the Palestinian Authority, and it made no difference. And if you want to know why Netanyahu is in power, that's the reason.
Let me ask you this, okay? And then I want to, Rich, to continue, because that was a good point. But, you take one part of what I say and you defend it. I said the leaders, which mean Arafat, which mean Hamas, which mean everybody, but also which means, Netanyahu and a lot of people that led the government. Do you say that does not happen in Israel, that in a daily basis the soldiers treat people a certain way, in a bad way? You don't see the soldiers in the mosque, walk in the mosque with their shoes and singing songs and doing prayer. You don't see it on a daily basis. They stop in cars and hitting civilians. I mean, yes, of course, I'm not saying there's something that Intifada, the second one, that suicide bomb is right and all that, but I'm saying there's also the way they treat people. Not everybody, but it's the same. Not everybody in both sides. Arafat, when you say Hamas, their leaders, and we discussed this so many times, do not represent the people. They take over. They force them to do something.
Okay. I'll answer you first. The first part first. You mix a lot of things there together, but yes, there are regular treatment of people on the West Bank and the settlers and police and all of it, which are shameful. And I kind of like that Biden was putting his foot down about that. This is the nature of occupations and hatred, and I hope that doesn't sound like a defense. It's not, but this is unacceptable. And if only Hamas had uttered a single word about the fact that they were unhappy about the way people were treated in the settlements, I might listen. But as we know, they've not mentioned once their objection to settlement policy or their objection to Netanyahu's policies or anything. Their charter says they want to kill the Jews.
I agree with you.
They want the rocks and trees to come up and kill the Jews. So
if only trees can move.
It's somewhat of a non sequitur, although I think that you're right that Israel should do a better job in the way it treats people. Now, having said that, given what happened on October 7th, I have a newfound hesitation to criticize some of the measures in terms of checkpoints and army and all that, because this has brought home to me what it is that they've been trying to prevent. And you can't have it both ways. And it's an impossible situation. You can't say that the checkpoints and all this stuff are a violation of rights at the same time as acknowledging that these people have murderous intentions and need to be prevented. You can't criticize Israel for not doing enough to prevent this in terms of Hamas, and at the same time criticize Israel for doing the kind of things which would have prevented it. So I think
it's not what I'm saying. I like I said, I think both sides have a lot to deal with and to fix. But Rich, I want to go with you.
One side could just agree to make peace.
Listen,
I think the people do. I really do.
You know what? Israel's trying to prevent what Noam was just talking about. Egypt, Jordan, they're preventing it. They're not letting Palestinians into their country because they don't know who, right? And we talked about this before we went on air.
But Rich, can I say one more thing? Because this irks me when he says this. Well, nobody that I've ever heard, when they're talking about what Russia is doing, says to me, well, the Russian people don't want it. Nobody cares what the Russian people want. It is a sovereign organization that is making war on Ukraine. And whether the Russian people are for it or the Russian people are against it, it's not relevant.
It's a little different, Noam. You know that.
Why is it different?
Because we spoke about this before. Hamas, when they take the prisoners of the Palestinian prisoners, they do worse thing to them. If they criticize Hamas with insight, I don't consider Hamas to be a government as much as it's just like any other gang or a group or militia or all that. They do stuff to their. I'm gonna send you a video. There's a report from ABC. It was very good. They have people undercover for the living there and Palestinian and say what they really think about Hamas. So what they do over there, especially that there is no help for the people in Gaza. They cannot go away. They cannot go to Egypt. They cannot go anywhere. They stuck there, so they have to play under.
You really think that people in the Chinese people wouldn't say secretly how awful it is in China, how the government's oppressive? You think you wouldn't hear the same things in many dictatorships all over the world? But nobody distinguishes. We understand that people are in a situation. But when a war breaks out, what the people want is not. It's tragic. It's relevant in a certain case, certain discussions relevant to, well, if we could get rid of that government, then like we talk about Iran. Very often people say the people of Iran don't want this extreme Muslim leadership. So if only the Ayatollahs could be removed, Iran could be a moderate nation. Yes, that's relevant. But if Iran goes to war with Iraq, nobody says, oh, the people of Iran don't want the war. It's a fucking war, and Iran's in charge.
My point is they've been saying it before the war. But Rich, go ahead, because the colleges thing and the kids are a pretty good topic also.
No, I mean that's one of my biggest concerns is the anti-Semitism in this country now. With college campuses and ripping down whatever. It's out of control, and this is my opinion. The Jews need somebody. Almost like in Malcolm X, in my opinion, someone to really speak out, and and someone so smart and intelligent and great speaker. Look, you got You listen to Farrakhan, he's a great speaker. You listen to, a lot of these groups, they're great speakers. And Jews, in my opinion, are, they rather take out an ad in the Hollywood Reporter. You need an in your face, to my opinion, like a Malcolm X of Jews.
That's a great point.
Malcolm Schmaltz.
Yeah. What happened?
No, did you see this article that I sent to Noam earlier? It's gonna speak.
What?
Lanterns? Christmas lanterns?
No,
Chinese lanterns?
hold on. I'll reshare it. But I think that's a great point, Rich. What you're saying is like, a real leader.
And it's out of hand with colleges, with they're being questioned in front of Congress, and they're just saying, no, it's not a violation. It's not anti-Semitic. What? You could not run around a college yelling, hey, let's lynch those people. Hey, let's hang them. Right. You'd be thrown out of there in a second. And if a college professor or the president said that's okay, they'd be gone in a second. It's a double standard with Jews now. And all of a sudden, we're the fucking enemy. There's less than 3% of us in this country.
This is. Did you see this that I sent you, Noam, earlier? A couple of days ago?
I didn't see it, but my daughter is I lost the Zoom now. My daughter is intruding. Oh, she wants me to unlock her phone. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It says the Harvard identity-based graduation exclude Jews.
Come say hi to my daughter.
They exclude Jews from and then deleted that page afterwards. So they have, hey Mila.
He says, hey Mila.
Talking about candy and stuff.
No, Mila's too old for candy now. She's not into that anymore.
We're talking about Hello Kitty.
Says,
Hello Kitty. What about Hello Kitty?
It's unlocked.
Yeah, it takes a lot to make Elise Stefanik look good, and all four of those like Ivy League presidents made her look brilliant.
It's crazy, right?
And
they're still there. They're not. It's not like anything happened.
One of them stepped down. I think.
Yeah, and was.
What do you think about the plagiarism?
I mean, it's funny how at this level, and he's still. I would love if they release the parts that she stole. That would be excellent. Look how patiently Mila waiting for the phone to be unlocked.
Wait, what plagiarism was there? What happened? What did I miss?
Yeah, I didn't know.
So they find out that she used part of I think her graduation or something. She used something else.
Okay, sorry. Oh yeah, she's accused of. We're talking about Claudine Gay. I'm sorry. She's accused of plagiarizing some papers, her graduate thesis or something. She's a mess.
It would be very interesting if we saw that she stole from like Arafat or something.
I think the left is driving a lot of people to the right now.
Yeah.
When the next elections, when in 2024, the left has been completely hijacked by extremists, and people are gonna go and vote Republican now. I could not support these people, Ilham Omar, or the other one begins with an R. It's just, I don't know what's going on with the left. I don't know.
I might be able to support AOC, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Rich, you said something
for a night.
You said something very interesting before the podcast. You said that you were we're talking about specials and stuff, and you said that you were thinking about touring colleges.
I would love to. I mean, if I had Noam's intelligence and my passion,
come on.
What? No. Listen, I'm not pandering. I'm not pandering. I've worked the club for 21 years. I'm trying to get kicked out.
Can you say Hatem's intelligence?
Huh?
Can you say Hatem's intelligence?
Well, no, I think you're very smart. I think you're led in the wrong way, but the pictures of the people you've dated, I respect you. So I would love to
thank you, Rich.
Go on the lecture circuit and just because these kids are being brainwashed by, left-wing professors. And I'm sure there's conservatives, colleges, maybe down south in the Midwest. But these Ivy League schools, it's insane what's going on
It is
there.
insane.
And how
I think
what's that?
I said
think the left
it is
oh,
insane. Sorry, Jay. Go. No, you go.
I feel like people always say like the whole left. It's not. It's the ultra left. It's not everyone. It's like the New Yorkers. It's the it's like the college students. But it's not. I mean, if you watch MSNBC or CNN, they're not like talking about like doing this nonstop like free Palestine. They're not doing that. They're
But if
actually,
you go ahead.
no, I mean they're actually like, and like when I think of the actual left, it's almost like saying like the right and the far right, and I think people tend to mix everything together. But I get what you're saying. I think like this, people are seeing these protests, like ripping down posters of hostages, like siding with like the queers for Palestine. Is like these, like Hamas, like they don't understand, like people, they were raping women to death, and I mean that should, like, the first, once you hear that, it's like they're no longer
but I think
the good
again,
guys.
I think the people, I think there's a difference between what Hamas did and the people protesting for the civilians dying. I think that's two different things.
Yeah, but it's war. It's war.
Right. No, I agree that.
Sure, okay. But I'm
too
just
many
saying,
civilians are dying, but it's also, it's like, I mean,
No, I just want to say about it. A few things. First of all, you'd have a better case about the protesting for the civilians dying if the protest didn't begin, on the evening of October 7th. If the cheers and the, flyers lauding the hand gliders and all this stuff didn't break out immediately. So this was a tell. We do have to, yes, civilians dying is unbearable, and reasonable people absolutely can differ about whether or not what Israel is doing is appropriate vis-a-vis the number of people that it's killing. I myself spent a lot of time thinking about that, but of course, in my thought process, I always have to ask myself, all right, but what would the other alternatives be? And I'm always on the lookout for some article, some scholarly theory about, well, if actually Israel could have done this and far fewer people would have died, in which case that would be a profound point to me. And Israel should absolutely do whatever it can do that would spare the most lives. Absolutely. As far as the left goes, you're right, Jay, that it's the far left. And the reason I know you're right is because so many of the people that I'm associated with who consider themselves part of the left will tell you they hate the woke. They'll, when no one's listening, they will say, yeah, I support you on Louis, for instance, but they would never dare come on my podcast and say it. They would never dare write it. Even now, I know many Jewish intellectuals who are very pro-Israel, but they will not use their column to write a pro-Israel column. So we have a dynamic here where the far left, because
why do you think that is?
Because the far left uses the weapon of calling people racist, calling people bigots, also taking advantage of the fact that the youth is very concentrated in this movement and very powerful. The fact that Twitter can make you feel like the whole world is attacking you when it's actually just a few dozen people. I've experienced that myself. So the far left has this tremendous gravitational force on the moderate left, which is unlike anything we've ever seen before from a varied movement like this. And well, maybe, there is some analogy to what Bill Clinton did with his Sister Soldier movement when Bill Clinton kind of broke free of the far left, but that was way different. It's much harder now. We saw, for instance, Chuck Schumer during the last Gaza war when he was running for re-election. He didn't say a peep about Hamas. This is Chuck Schumer, like the Jewiest Jew on planet Earth. He kept quiet because he was afraid of being pro-Israel at a time he was running for re-election. So, the far left has a lot of power, and they control the major universities. They don't represent the writers at the New York Times necessarily, but they can get the writers at the New York Times fired, and have done so a number of times, such that the writers of the New York Times toe the line and don't fucking say the wrong thing, you know? So it's kind of a fascist thing. They have this authoritarian will to power. You have these university presidents dryly, well, let's see, is genocide against Jews? Well, no, perhaps there would be legitimate reason to discuss such a thing, which is fine with me, actually, to have that kind of open discussion. But you couldn't dare say, I want to have a protest that says Derek Chauvin was innocent. They would tell you you're fucking, there's no way you're doing that, right? So there's a million things you're not allowed to say at Harvard, but this one you're allowed to say. Why is that? Because the far left is open to it. And I mean, I could go on and on. Everybody knows it.
Yes.
Everybody knows it.
And the far left's power, like he said, I mean, they're controlling. You go to MSN, go to Yahoo. It's all pretty much anti-Israel, headlines and stories, kids, they're brainwashing these young
Can I say
kids.
this, Rich? And Jay, I think it's not just that they're anti-Israel, it's they're pro-Hamas.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not just that the far left is pro-trans, it's that they will bury you if there's some issue that pertains to trans, even if it's not empirically proven.
And rightly so.
Yeah, they will. So they'll take somebody like me, like who's. Well, I mean, it's absurd to think that I'm like anti-trans or anti-gay or whatever it is. But if I say, but the sports thing, I really don't know if it's fair. Yeah, no, I shouldn't say it. I would say I don't think it's fair. You are a bigot. And they will try, and they'll try to close the Comedy Cellar down. It's like, whoa, they will take any. They demand unanimity, like an authoritarian party, and any deviation is traitorous, and they want to ruin you.
Yeah, but
I will say this:
they can't close all 12 clubs.
I will say this though: if they were that powerful, Biden would be on the pro-Palestine. That's what I mean when I say the left wing. Like, so, yeah. I mean, like, I think so. A lot of politicians are still very pro-Israel on the Democrats. That's what I mean by that. Now, elected officials, yeah.
But there's some power. But that, like Noam said, it's a good point. Like, if they're running or they still have hope, it's a different story.
But I agree with what you're saying. But really, honestly, I just wanted to talk about Rudy Giuliani today, but I'm a little bummed about this. But anyway.
Let's talk about Giuliani. Yeah.
I'm joking. I'm just being
I want to say that Jay brings up a very interesting point. So Biden, obviously, first of all, I think that Biden is pro-Israel in with a lot of politicians. You never know what they really feel. Like, we didn't really think Trump was anti-abortion, right? But we did kind of feel he was anti-immigrant. I think that Biden is truly pro-Israel in his heart. Nevertheless, he is running for re-election, and he does have his finger in the air and trying to determine if this issue could get him booted out of office. And so far, I think Jay is right. They've calculated that it's far enough away from the election, and probably people in the end don't vote on foreign policy, and people in the end probably won't vote for Donald Trump. They'll probably hold their nose and even vote for Joe Biden. But if Biden were to be pro-Palestinian, like the next Democratic president might be, we don't really know where the Democrats will be, because a lot of people tend to follow the positions of their party leader. A lot of people blow in the wind. But there's no question that the Republicans are much, 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 much more reliably pro-Israel. And yet the Jews cling to the Democrats. Yeah.
When you said pro-Palestine, you mean pro-Hamas, not pro-Palestine, right?
I don't remember exactly what I said. I think the far left is pro-Hamas.
Hamas, not the Palestinian.
And I think that moderate people believe that they want they're anti-Hamas but pro-Palestinian, and I think that to be honest, it's unfair because I consider myself also moderate and pro-Palestinian. I just have the opinion that it is the Palestinians who are responsible for the fact that there hasn't been peace. That is not the same as being anti-Palestinian in any way. I want
No, I remember in the podcast before somebody said something,
deeply
and
the
you said,
Palestinian. Yeah.
yeah, and you said, I don't consider Free Palestine is an anti-Jew statement, and there's a kid that was wearing Free Palestine that you let him work for you, so
Yeah, but from
I
the
don't
river
care
to
about
the
somebody
sea,
with
yeah.
what?
from the river to the sea is pretty anti-fucking Israel.
When you see
and
it, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jay. Stand up for yourself. Don't let him push you around. Go ahead.
I didn't push anybody around.
Go ahead, Jay.
No, he's not. I was gonna. Sorry, go ahead and finish. I'm sorry.
No, she's too deferential. I'm trying to.
Here's what I was gonna say is like, do you really think people that wear that chant from the river to the sea have any idea what it means, or you think they're doing?
No,
I
think people think
You're right.
people think Free Palestine is like a catchy thing to say that all the cool kids are saying it. So that's what they're doing.
But again, Free Palestine is not an anti-Semitism or anti-Jewish. Of course, some people mean it in a certain way. I get it, So
I don't agree.
But
you know what? How come after October 7th and
no, I see what you're saying.
No, but not Hamas. Palestine people were dancing in the street when dead bodies were being dragged through.
Well, I don't know.
Let me tell you about the river to the sea. Let me
Yeah.
tell you about the river to the sea. So I would agree that there are some people, especially a few weeks ago, I don't know who's living under a rock, who didn't know what the hell they're saying. They're saying river to the sea, they just think it's Palestinian, but a Palestinian chant. However, there's a few problems to that. First of all, do you remember they were on the lookout for anybody who said, yeah, A-OK, and they give it remember this?
Yeah.
People got fired for going, yeah, no
Hold on,
problem.
can you
right?
explain to people that listen, because I don't even know what you're talking about either.
So
that's a white supremacist.
This now is apparently because the W, I can't get is supposed to be white. So, but people for 1,000 years go, yeah, no problem. See you later. Cheerio. So, and there were people actually fired for going like this who had no idea that this. So again, the far left has no problem even being way more absurd than that. But, and I think I said this before, there is just strategic ambiguity of these phrases that I think decent people have to stigmatize, which is that once you know that river to the sea can be interpreted as violence, then you should either say very clearly, we absolutely don't mean violence. We mean two states, or you should stop using that phrase. Once you know that, what are the other phrases like that? Anti-Zionism can be taken as the eradication of Israel, then you should make a point of saying, no, I don't mean the eradication of Israel. I just mean I oppose Jewish policies. And the biggest one is once you say globalize the Intifada. Now, the Intifada is only something that people associate with atrocities. Yes, Arabic people know the actual definition, but when Mahmoud Abbas threatens another Intifada, everybody knows what he means. He doesn't mean peaceful protest. For people to use that phrase and say, oh, how do you know that's what I mean? I could just mean Palestinian protest. This is not acceptable. People should not be hiding behind phrases that they know very well can be taken as violence, but they choose not to clarify what they mean. I'm calling bullshit on that.
I have solution for that. You know what it is? Translate it. Don't say Intifada. I like that people don't translate certain words because it sounds scary. That when it's Arabic, say what it is. Let's have a peaceful uprising.
But why do you think they don't say that? Because that's not what they mean.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's same thing with like Taliban. Why don't you just call them or whatever? But but I think you say it in English. Say peaceful uprising.
But they don't mean peace. Some people, but most of them don't mean it. They don't mean two states. They do mean river to the sea.
Yeah,
but I mean, some Israeli. I don't know if you saw the. Go ahead, Rich. I don't want to interrupt you.
No. Mine was just stupid. I'm just. It's the kids here that don't know what they're protesting for. They don't even know. They have no idea of the past. They have no idea how many times Arafat was in the White House. You should not be allowed to vote if you're under 25. Fuck 18. Under 25, 25 and over, now you have a little bit of knowledge. You're not just getting out of college or high school where you've been fucking brainwashed or you're just following some fucking thing to follow. It's
to your
But
point,
you can rent a car, but you can rent a car instead. How about that? We'll switch the two.
Or
You can
buy
rent
a
a car
gun.
at 18. You can vote at
Yeah.
25. How's that?
You know, to your point, it's like I say this a lot. As like I know a lot of people like can support my cause or can support me, but they don't get it, and I don't count them as useful because they don't have a point in any argument. But I think the algorithm in general and the social media is very, very dangerous in that sense because you get information from TikTok for 30 seconds, and whatever you watch, that's all you're gonna keep watching. It used to be kind of like this podcast. You have both views. You know, you have here and you have here. You can, but people don't get that anymore. They just make up their mind first and then find something to support it. And
I
it's
would love
great.
to see you. I would love to see your algorithm. Artie Lang used to tell me that he was afraid to type the word night in front of anybody who was watching because he didn't know what autocomplete would do when he got to the G.
You know, it's so funny. It's like Israel's the aggressor. It's like New Jersey fighting the United States. It's basically,
it's funny with algorithm is like, I actually try to follow
algorithm like Al Jazeera.
I try to find like in my ticket, I try to find the opposite view of the algorithm. And now I get all the time calls to support Israel. It's like, can you donate money? I was like, no, you don't get me right. But I want to talk quickly about the new COVID variant that came out. I don't know if you guys, because it's very interesting to me. Have you heard about the new one? It's called JN1. I'm not going to tell you what the J stands for, but it's the new COVID. Anybody's
Jewish what?
Jaye McBride.
You make it up.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're the comedian.
I mean, I don't like taking credit where credit's, where I don't deserve it. But in this case, I think I get a lot of credit for it.
COVID thing. Enough of that. We have bigger things to worry about than COVID again. Take those restaurants in the street out. Get rid of them in New York so we could drive. And
you don't like that?
No, they fucking rats, and you're in a car. One car stops, you're fucked for 20 minutes.
Where's Sherrod?
People pissing them.
Where's Sherrod gonna have sex?
At the bus stop where he lives. I don't care. It's ridiculous. Everything is just.
I think everyone should just stay home all the time, every day.
I love staying home.
That's it. Oh, me too. I'm still I still have my bathrobe ready to go. I'm ready to get.
I mean, I have a really big house with a pool. I'm a headliner. So,
true.
I mean,
different worlds.
I come in on the weekends. That's it. If I'm not on the road. And
is it plastic pool or like a real pool?
What's that?
Is it plastic?
No, we have an in-ground pool. Okay. We have a Jewish person's pool, not something that we carved out of a tree.
Oh, so you're going to use it.
What does that mean when you say Jewish person's pool? Is that just you didn't
put
the labor in when it got installed?
That was kind of funny, carved out of a tree.
That was funny.
You ever? No. Anyhow,
are we wrapping it up?
Yeah. Last thing. Yeah. Go ahead, Rich. We're going to talk about Trump, the 14th Amendment, but yeah, go ahead, Rich.
I hate pandering, but I love, even though I despise him, I love listening to Noam. The knowledge he has on this, and
it's not knowledge.
It is
knowledge.
Knowledge.
He does before here, not to give Noam compliments.
No, it's not a kind. Look, I don't care. I'm halfway out of the business, but it's really just to listen, and my major battle in my head is what's going on in this country, the anti-Semitism in this country, because I just don't see in the Middle East, it's been going on for years and years, and it's just, the battle for me mentally is here in this country, and that's definitely the preservation of Israel, because if that's gone, then forget it,
I'm pessimistic. I'm pessimistic about the future of anti-Semitism in America. I mean, I'm not predicting another pogroms, I don't want to overstate it, but I don't think it's going to be like it was when I was growing up for a long time. I don't think, the polls show, it's unbelievable that like the polls show like almost 50% of, or more than that, of the youth are not sure about the Holocaust and have a lot of notions about Jews being oppressors and blah, blah, blah. And then people over 60, it's almost like zero, which, that's kind of the generation I grew up around. And it really does conform to what it is that I experienced growing up. You're about my age. I mean, when we grew up, we really did not feel that anybody was anti-Semitic around us. We heard about it, but day to day, it really was. And the polls show now that that's actually what it was. These people don't have any anti-Jewish feelings, not in a significant way, but the youth is full of them.
Yeah. On the plus side, trans attacks are down.
Way down. But the trans Jews and this, I blame, the left, and then we got to go. What the left taught people to do is judge people by their characteristics. That's what they've been telling us for 10 years now already. Too pale, to this, my friend Coleman Hughes almost got booted out of his TED Talk because he was in favor of colorblind policies. Everything was supposed to be based on what your traits were. So why shouldn't you be anti-Semitic? Like you couldn't, there's no theory for why it's wrong anymore, because you can't say, well, you're not supposed to judge anybody by their traits anymore, because of course you are. You're supposed to hire by their traits. You're supposed to look at everything in the world by their traits now.
I'm gonna clip that part because Noam was so calm. Why could you just be anti-Semitic and promote it?
You convinced me. I'm gonna be anti-Semitic.
All this technology from Israel, all the stuff Jews give back to the world.
Oh yeah, that you remind me now, Rich. This is one of the things that you keep saying that bothers me. All the technology, all the invention that Jews, it's not a good point.
It is a good point.
No, I tell you why. I see the whole. I created humanity, and I tell you why. Because if it wasn't for numbers, if it wasn't for language invented, we wouldn't advance. We wouldn't do this. Who invented the numbers? Who invented the language? It's human. Each civilization will.
Frank.
I don't buy this inventing numbers nonsense. Yeah. I think every human understands 1, 2. I mean, maybe you put a word on it, like I can't imagine
when I say numbers, I mean, you know what I mean. I mean the actual using numbers to advance to have physics, to advance to do.
Hold on a second. I have a math degree. Let me just say, they did not invent numbers. However, Persians did invent algebra. That was where they came along. But numbers were around.
Numbers were invented by in Iraq, Sumerian, and then Egyptian and Indian.
Well, how else are you gonna know how many? How else are you gonna know how many slaves you have?
And that was the third joke that bombed today. Thank you.
The Egyptians. So Letitia James, she said, she's the Attorney General of New York. She says, too male, too pale. Now, this is a government official saying too male and too pale. So if you can say too pale, why can't you say too Jewish? What's the difference?
Is
there a difference?
If you want to be hired by a law firm or work in the entertainment industry, yes, there is a difference.
I mean, if the notion is that it's okay to openly judge people as too pale, then that's it. You're untethered. You can judge some other group as long as you can make the case that they have privilege or whatever it is, whatever the reason is that you think you can call them too pale, too white. Why can't you say too Jewish?
Well,
you're making a lot of sense, Noam.
Who said this? The governor?
Attorney General of New York, Letitia James. She gave a speech. She is too male, too pale, too stale. I don't know what she was referring to, but we had other examples of this. What's her name? In Chicago, the mayor. She referred to her opponent as a Karen. And just this kind of embracing of this kind of stuff.
So Letitia she's an Irish girl?
But
I I never fail. Go
You
ahead.
know, you never fail. But I think Rich hit it in the nail. Like, I think we need, leaders, not only for Jewish, but if we have leaders, imagine for everybody, for for here, for the United States, for the Palestinian people, for, like, if we have like real leaders and like somebody who's, really care, I think it's going to be a different world. Don't you think?
As long as I sell out New Year's Eve, I think everything will fall in place.
Yeah,
Where
that's a
in
good
New
start
Year's
for
Eve?
the year.
I'm in Long Island. One of the governors, that's some theater governors owns in Long Island. New Year's
How's
Eve.
your
I have
New Year's
Then
Eve?
I go to Vegas. I'm at Kimmel's Comedy Club in Vegas. First week of January.
I have to go.
Hold on, I need to show you something.
Quick.
Don't
Is
quick
it
me.
uncut?
This is actually for you people.
Okay.
Don't quick me. So this is because I think it was very it's ridiculous. Hold on, not this one. So they were teaching this to kids.
Why are you showing sex toys? That's ridiculous. Hatem.
Yeah, I know. So this is about can you hear this?
No.
No.
Okay, so this is a teacher that was showing the kids in kindergarten different than noses to show them a Jew. You didn't see that? That was in Morning Joe. And tell the kids, about the Jewish nose and how you. Hold on, I'm gonna share it with sound. Right, here we go.
Pre-K, that's even where the teacher at the head of the class has a series of noses portrayed, and she asks her students, her pupils, I believe it was 6th grade, was it 6th
It
grade?
was pre-K.
Pre-K, that's even worse. What does it mean to have a nose like that? And go ahead, tell the story.
Yeah, so this is from PS 59 here in New York City. And this teacher put out this poster asking her 4- and 5-year-old students to essentially, she said she was teaching them about the human body, but she asked them the question, why do people have different noses? And the image has a picture of a hooked nose, 2 small noses, and 1 nose with a nose ring. And then at the bottom, she wrote, I think people have different noses based on their ethnic identity. Now, when I spoke to another member of the school who's Jewish, she said this was clearly anti-Semitic. It reminded her exactly of Nazi comics, of these anti-Semitic tropes of Jews having big noses.
Pre-K.
In pre-K.
Let me ask.
I like that they got a Barbra Streisand impersonator to do that.
Well, no one knows that teacher did lips the next day.
I don't know. I don't think it's anti-Semitic. You think it's
Yeah,
anti-Semitic?
I don't think so either, but I don't think it should be with 4th grade. And look, I have a big nose. That doesn't make me any.
They should talk about the Jews' horns instead. I think that would be
Now
or
you're
their
just
spiked tail. That would be much. Their cloven hoofs. Wouldn't that be?
I
right,
mean, obviously, different ethnicities do have different noses. Some Jews, I mean, Jews' noses are pretty mixed. I don't have a big nose, but
Depends on the surgeon.
yeah.
Yeah.
But to the extent that they would just stop focusing on, I mean, don't we know already this has backfired? This kind of bashing our kids with noticing that they are not the same ethnicity, not the same color, not the same blah, blah, blah as their little friends. Did anything good? It was a nice experiment, but now we know it doesn't work. It doesn't make anything better. It only makes it worse. So let's stop. Let's just fucking stop.
That was on
That's it.
MSNBC, by the way, the liberal network. Just so calling out anti-Semitism.
That's
Yeah,
Morning
sure.
Joe. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So, Rich, you want to promote what are you having next?
This weekend, I'll be at the Comedy Cellar, the Village Underground this weekend. Then New Year's Eve, Long Island. The week after that, Kimmel's Comedy Club in Las Vegas, the first week of January. And tomorrow, I'll be at the orthopedic getting cortisone and having x-rays on my knees.
Thanks for the update. Jay.
Yes.
I'll be at an outdoor dining area trying to hook up with Sherrod later. That's all I got. I got nothing. No, New Year's I'll be at the Cellar. And then next year I haven't released any tour dates. I'm gonna be going on tour next year, but I don't have anything super special that I'm plugging.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're doing a Jewish tour too, Tough Jews or whatever. Different cities. Me, Aaron Berg, and Judy Gold.
Oh, excellent. I'm glad to. I'm gonna make sure to promote that one.
Stand up for Israel.
Yeah.
No,
Why
stand
stand
up
up?
for
What if I
Jews.
can't stand
I
up?
hope
This
Judy
is-
gets her knees fixed by then. Yeah.
It's stand up for Jews. Yeah.
Yeah.
stand up for Israel. I'm gonna do one stand up for Palestine. No, what do you have? You have New Year's Eve, obviously, and all the cool stuff happening.
I'm not a promoter type.
Well, I'll promote for you.
How far away are you from the new club?
At least a year.
That long?
That means 6 months. Whatever Noam say, cut it by half.
No.
I don't have that much time, Noam. Let's go.
The only time you should do that is when you ask me how long I have sex.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is anymore.
Oh,
I go on the road. I go on the road with 3 rubbers. I come home with 5.
I do have one more thing to plug. I did publish a comic book, and just if you follow my Instagram page, I'll have a link to where to get it once it's available. It's not available for sale yet online. I just bring it as merch right now.
You should have like a party.
Well, you understand, Jaye is tremendously talented, and she doesn't do enough to make people realize that. But it's really quite impressive.
Can we do a book release for you?
Sure. I mean, I would like that. I just I don't know. Once it's still, again, it's the link to get it, to buy it online isn't up yet. That's all.
Don't worry, you need 5 minutes to do that. I'll do it for you.
All right, I really have to go. Bye.
So do I.
Thank you
Thanks for
very
having
much.
me.
Have a good one, guys. Rich, thank
All
you.
right, see you
Jay,
later.
thank you.
Thank
Rich,
you.
I
Yep.
appreciate it.
Thanks.
And Hatem, you have a second, Hatem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me stop recording first.